Welcome to Let's Talk Special Economic Zones, raising awareness of the impact of SEZs on people, planet, profits, and governance with Ainsley Brown.
Hi, welcome everyone to another episode of Let's Talk Special Economic Zones. I'm your host, Ainsley Brown, and in today's episode, we're going to look at the role of special economic zones in emergencies and humanitarian relief. Now, the zones, no matter what you want to call them, free zones, free trade zones, foreign trade zones, enterprise areas, there's many types of names, a lot of different nomenclature that is used to describe something that's basically similar, and it is just a geographic space designated by a government that says different rules apply in terms of the zone and the rest of the economy. Typically, the zone's also associated with certain tax breaks and things like that. So zones, particularly because there's one fiscal incentive that tends to be fairly universal when it comes to zones, and um, that is customs duty relief. You know, you bring an item in, equipment, building material, finished goods. It's normally when you bring it into a country, those items may attract duty depending on trade agreements that are in place. But the general rule is that you attract duties unless you're in a duty-free jurisdiction or unless there is some exemption based on um, trade agreements. But then also the other rule is if it goes into a bonded warehouse or if it goes into a zone, right? So zones by their very nature are structured in a way that could be very useful in terms of disaster relief. So let's say and I'm here in the Caribbean, and we're no strangers to hurricanes. Happen every year, and to varying degrees, right? Let's say you needed to relieve one island, but then set up operations in one another island. You could bring in all of that equipment, food and bandages and all of that aid, bring it in. It could be in a zone temporarily, again, not attracting any duties or anything like that, and then go out, right? So zones in many ways can facilitate that sort of humanitarian relief. One example of that going or in the real life, real world, but to the extreme, and the extreme is good in this instance, is in Sharjah, in the United Arab Emirates. They have what's called the International Humanitarian City, and that's actually a zone. Funnily enough, I didn't know about this until recently, maybe about 2 weeks ago. I found out about this. So the International Humanitarian City it's a free zone operated within the UAE, it's specifically Sharjah, and it houses united bodies from the United Nations, and other governmental or intergovernmental bodies, and international bodies, and also some commercial bodies who they'll have cold storage in there for food and medicines and all of these different things. So it acts as a logistics hub for humanitarian relief, right? So, an earthquake strikes and they get activated. And unfortunately, these days they've been, very busy, given several different challenges that have been faced around the world, whether they be man-made or they be natural disasters or a combination thereof, floods, earthquakes, droughts, wars have all been taking place, and this serves as a humanitarian logistics hub. And so zones can definitely play a positive role in humanitarian and emergency relief if used that way. So, and they don't have to be like how Sharjah has an entire zone devoted to that. That's great, but it can also be when a disaster strikes. And it doesn't have to just be a relief outside of the country. It can also be relief within a country, because the goods would have been in would be there without duties and so forth. And then now they can be redirected. In fact, in some instances, you could sign as part of the license to operate within your zone framework. Countries could sign special arrangements for certain items, such as fuel. If there's a fuel depot, or oil depot where you get it at some concessional rates, that could be a clause within the license agreements, and the mechanisms there to give people the power to operate within their zones. So if you like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to see me do a particular topic, just leave me a comment right down below, and I'll get right back to you. Bye for now.